Um, I'm basically Jinx, or you can call me Sarah, I guess. And this is the third document I've made on 2xko. This one I'm properly doing in YouTube video format. This is how not to give a zoner an identity in your fighting game. And it is obviously about Jinx in 2xko specifically. She's not in another fighting game. This is unscripted. I wrote this out. I don't have a script in front of me. I'm going to be talking for the next however long. Big disclaimer. Neither I nor anybody directly involved with this video, or the document itself, or my previous documents, claim to know game design or balance past a player-based level. Claims of being a godlike being, or otherwise some sort of assorted divinity, are said in jest, should not be taken seriously, and obviously, and do not have weight to them. This video and the subsequent document attached are made for educational purposes in order to bring attention to 2xko, its characters, its gameplay, specifically Jinx, and is not made to fill an agenda. I'm not trying to get Jinx buffed because I want to start farming brackets. I want to see Jinx buffed because I enjoy her, multiple other people enjoy her, and I also think that the launch of the game having a character like her isn't good. I love 2xko. I don't want a character in it to be in a state that makes them thoroughly unsatisfying to play. Here's your too long didn't watch, in case any of you have severe ADHD, like I do. System changes, as well as noticeable buffs to other characters, specifically Braum, Blitzcrank, and Darius, who were in need of them in 2xko Season 1. Brought Jinx from a character that was in bottom 1 contention, and, in my opinion, was personally still worse than Braum and Blitzcrank, but not everyone shared that opinion. From contention to bottom 1, pretty much, period. Caitlyn's addition, her kit, her traps, almost everything in it, filled Jinx's niche, without Caitlyn having the glaring weaknesses as Jinx. Jinx in her current state is an identityless mess who is in dire need of a rework or numerous positive changes to her kit buffs, lest she become a laughingstock of the community. Think Skarner pre-rework if you guys play League. I don't know another fighting game character, but the best way I could describe her right now would be Fighter Z Frieza before he got 90 trillion buffs to golden form. Who are you, and why should I care about your opinion, you might be asking. I'm a 19-year-old trans femme, mid-to-high GM 2xko player, aspiring to play this game at a high level. I peaked 600-something RP in the end of Season 0. I'm aspiring to hit Challenger. I haven't yet, because it is the 22nd, and the season just came out 2 days ago, and shockingly enough, I have a life. Also, the Deadlock patch released today, so I've also been playing that. I've been playing 2xko since the final closed beta. Previously, I played Vi Jinx, as you can see. They're still my most played, both of them. But I started playing Vi Caitlyn specifically this season because Jinx has become increasingly unsatisfying to play as the meta keeps developing, shifting, and other characters get positive changes, and she doesn't. Who's Jinx in 2xko? If you've read my other documents, this one's familiar because I copy-pasted it because I'm a lazy fuck. Jinx is a zoner trapper character whose gameplay focuses around abusing holes in the opponent's game plan and capitalizing off them. She excels at long range and manages at mid-range, but stubby, slow, and unsafe normals make her close range noticeably weaker than the rest of the cast, especially compared to someone like Vi, Echo, Yasuo, Ahri. All have much better normals than Jinx does. But that makes sense. She's a zoner, but she doesn't really have anything, really, in terms of close-range duels. She's on the slower side. I think she's slower than Darius. Don't quote me on that. I don't feel like pulling up the wiki. In terms of dash speed, she's not a big body, but because of that, she's just slow. She's slow for not being a big body, basically. And that makes matchups where she has to close distance, and I know that sounds like a disgusting statement. Why would a zoner ever have to close distance? And it's because she's a zoner in 2026, and the archetype doesn't work if you stick full screen the whole game, unfortunately, but that's better for game health overall. But, why does Jinx feel bad to play? Also shamelessly copied from my previous document. Jinx's moveset, which is linked here, we'll open this just to show it off. Jinx's moveset. I'll scroll through if you want to look at anything specific or cross-reference. You can look at it here. It's on the 2xko wiki, etc., etc. We'll be referencing a few moves later on, but if you're not aware of how fighting game knowledge works in terms of referring to different directions and buttons, just Google before I start referencing them. Her kit focuses specifically around her specials, as do most characters in this game, but she focuses around 5S2, which is her... focuses around 5S2, fish bones, neutral special 2, forward S1, fly clappy, that's down S1, sorry, fly clappy fly, neutral S1, pow 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 pow, 6 S1, forward S1, flame chompers, and 4S2 zap, which zap is on a resource bar that fills automatically. I don't think there's any way to get it to fill faster, but I could be wrong. Most of her moves, normals and specials alike, have interactions with her traps, flying monkey and flame chomper specifically. Forest 2, as well as JM, 2M, and 5M can charge chomper or clappy, which gives you the same stun. It might actually be longer as your full charge zap without having to spend the bar, which is incredibly useful. It also gives it a bigger AoE, I believe. However, the trade-off for her traps is the recovery is incredibly long, making them unsafe to set up even after most knockdowns or combo enders. Generally, the only time you can really get traps out is after a charged jumping heavy 5H. Not 2H, because Jinx does have a dive kick. But even then, you're sacrificing extra combo damage for potential Oki. And we'll get into Monkey Oki later on this page, and I'll talk about it. But still, her damage solo, it isn't said here because I forgot to document it, but her solo damage is underwhelming. Her hit confirms can be frustrating in the fact that many moves are short range, meaning she either needs zap or an assist call to properly convert into combos, which often scales combo damage down significantly. And a lot of her good starters already don't scale very well. You can't reliably do a lot of moves into 2H if you move a 5H in. 6-6M, which is objectively her best combo starter move, scales like a light rather than a medium, even though it is a medium. And, I mean, it's just, her damage is low. She also has a command light that nobody uses, and she has a standing overhead, which we'll get into, I think, in the next 2 slides. But it's not that good. Her mix-up, which is kinda non-existent. It's not bad, but we'll get into it. Entirely relies on strike throw. She lacks true cross-ups without handshake tag. She's actually the only character in the game that does not have a single move that crosses up. She doesn't have anything that goes through. She doesn't have anything that crosses up if she jumps over someone, which I think is probably her biggest weakness. And her jab is 7 frames, which puts her on the same scale as Braum, Darius, Blitzcrank after the buffs they just did this season. Jinx, who is a, 20-year-old, cannot punch faster than a 36-year-old man. Which is how old Darius is. And I think Braum is, 40-something. Because that makes sense, I think. She can't punish a lot of things without a 6-frame jab, whereas, and it's not like she's a zoner, why would she have a 6-framer? Because Caitlyn has one. They gave Caitlyn a 6-frame jab without thinking, hey, maybe we should buff Jinx's as well. And then the command low is also still not, I don't know what the frame data is on it, but it's not good. We don't use it for a reason. Her matchups feel incredibly frustrating. I think this character is probably one of the more tilting characters to play in the game due to low range, lack of multi-hits in the case of characters with armored options, specifically Braum. Braum especially is already a miserable matchup for Jinx because he gets unbreakable and just stares at you, and you can't beat him if you're alone. If you don't have a tag, you die, because Braum has to choose when to stop pressuring you. Because that character needed to be buffed, I think. Notably, Yasuo, Ahri, and Alawi, as well as Braum, as previously mentioned. Full disclosure, this specific slide was made for a document on Jinx last season, where the Braum matchup was annoying, but that's about it. Yasuo, Ahri, and Alawi can feel incredibly upsetting to face due to them having more range on non-specials, more range on normals, damage, and combo game than Jinx, while also being able to out-pressure her. Admittedly, Ahri can do this a little bit less this season because of her slight nerfs, and I believe Echo's not as bad anymore, but it's still Echo at the end of the day. Some players can find Darius and Braum matchups upsetting as well. I don't love the Darius matchup. Oh, this was partially off-screen, my bad. I don't love the Darius matchup just because I find Darius to be an annoying character, but not that bad. Braum matchup's frustrating, and also he has 10 trillion projectile immune moves. Simple as. Notably, Yasuo Windwall, I don't have a picture of it in 2xKO, but, Windwall, blocks all non-super projectiles. The only answer Jinx has to Windwall is either catch him doing Hasagi, in which you can use Beam Super to punish him, but you need to be in the air, because otherwise Hasagi will hit you, or you need to angle charged Clappy up, and it will hit him if he sticks behind Windwall. This was added today. Why Jinx Feels Bad Season 1 Edition. Everything in the last slide still applies, however, there's now 2 core things to keep in mind. The system changes to projectile, which is right here, and Caitlyn being in the game. System changes are an overall good thing. I do not think that charged projectiles were good for the game at all, especially Teemo. Teemo Charge Slingshot being a tag-out option was a terrible, terrible decision. And I'm happy that they walked back on it because of that. However, they caused Jinx to feel overall worse, and it's not unnoticeably worse either. She just feels bad. Caitlyn's edition also fills the same niche Jinx was filling. Traps, projectiles, control, basically. And it caused you to ask, why would I ever have Jinx on my team instead of Caitlyn? And frankly, there's not a good answer for it anymore. The point. Jinx's buffs did little to improve her gameplay loop. There's an argument to be made that the buffs really weren't worth it when you combine them with the system changes, and also the direct nerfs she got, if you consider them to be a trade-off. Because of this, Jinx is most likely now the single worst character in the game, as Braum and Blitzcrank both received noticeable buffs, and Teemo, even though he got taken behind the barn and shot 17 times, still zones better than Jinx, even after nerfs. What the fuck, Riot? Jinx can outzone him in the Jinx versus Teemo matchup, but any other matchup, Teemo will still do better than Jinx. Jinx's direct buffs here, I can't zoom in, but They took 8 frames off charged flame chompers. They did not touch the uncharged version. No, they did. They took 2 frames off the uncharged version. Sorry. 2 off startup, 2 off recovery. They also no longer scale when first attached, which is fine. And they do a little more damage, which is fine, but it really only applies to the assist, which you're never going to be using anyway, because Jinx has the best back assist in the game. 2S1 recovery was decreased by 3 frames, which is fine. 4S1, Pow Pow Up Up, was a bad move. And it's still a bad move. There are, like, a single-digit amount of new routes that opened up with it. But they're still not good. You're better off just not using it, because they're not good. They also decreased heavy recovery. And now it's better on block. Whoop-de-doo. And it hits crouchers more consistently. But overall, these are a nothing burger changes. They are a nothing burger. They result in pretty much nothing significantly. Pushing Jinx towards being a better character, which is unfortunate and kind of sad, to be completely honest. They also nerfed chip damage on her ultimate, her level 3, which, to be fair, good. That shit was doing way too much chip. And her super assist no longer follows additional projectiles if any projectile is interrupted, which makes sense, but it's still upsetting. How do we fix this mess? At this junction in 2XKO's life cycle, having a character that, to be completely honest with you, is nigh unpickable, like Jinx currently is, looks really bad. Especially with console launch bringing in so many new faces. And yes, you can play Jinx and get results if you're a good enough player. That's true. There are very few levels in the game where you will lose directly to character diff. But even last patch, even last season, you would very rarely see Jinx being played in top level play. Even if she's good in low ranks, which she is, because people don't know what the block button is. It's back, by the way. We don't have a block button. They also don't know how to parry, or retreating guard, or anything like that. But she needs buffs. She needs buffs that are much more than what she got, and frankly, it's kind of shocking we haven't seen them yet. I've spoken to multiple people in the 2XKO Discord server, not any specific Discord server, the main 2XKO Discord server, the official one. I've spoken to Zed, this guy, who is actually the Jinx specialist. That's why his name is all cool and flashy, and that is me, shockingly enough. And I said, hey, what do we think significant buffs or a rework to Jinx would look like? Because I'm putting everything together. I want Riot to see this. The goal of this video is for someone at Riot to see this and go, okay, maybe we should take a look at Jinx. I'm going to directly read off what Zed and then Mike said. Zed said, buffs or changes to the overhead. Right now it's basically unplayable. Additional info is down here. Jumping light, crossing up would be fine. I think giving Jinx a cross-up button, even if it is a light, would be the best way to do it. Because that way you don't screw up her scaling, you don't make her do too much damage, but she has a cross-up now. Give damage back somehow. This would be as simple as turning a few numbers a little higher. Combos need an overhaul. She does prophetic damage. Yeah, I mean, if Caitlyn can break 500 damage solo, why can't Jinx? Kate gets a 6 frame, but we're stuck with 2 shittier jabs and 7 frames fastest. If we have to have slower jabs, at least make it not whiff point blank. That's a big one. Jinx has the smallest jab in the game. Mike says, Chomper getting reduced again, hopefully for another 4 to 6 frames. I think that would be perfect. Make Chomper trade with fireballs. That would also be very good, having it like clank with Time Winder and break. Reduced pushback from 6-6M, that's the running light. Increase forward momentum on 2H. I assume he means forward momentum. Something to make Gatling combos consistent. I think that's a big thing that I haven't really talked about. Jinx has intentionally inconsistent combos. I believe it was one of the open betas, Jinx was an incredibly abrasive character with TODs. So they cut down on a lot of her damage, and they made it so some of her combos, specifically ones with Air S1, Air 5S1, Air Gatling, would drop kind of on RNG. I don't think it's truly RNG, but unless you're a TAS, you're not going to hit the combo perfectly every time, and if you don't, there's a very good chance of it dropping. Consistency changes would be good. Dust to the overhead, I think, are also just kind of needed, because hers is currently the slowest standing overhead in the game. Echo, Darius, Warwick, Vi, and Braum all have standing overheads. Technically Alawi as well, but Alawi's is a special. And look at their numbers. Echo's start up on frame 22. Total 39 frames, only -3. Darius starts up in 25 frames, 47 frames total, only -6. Warwick's is like shit, but you know, it's fake bad. Also, it's kind of hard to block because Warwick's a mental set character, but still, 24 frames, 46 total, only -8. Vi's incredibly safe. 25 frames, 50 frames total, only -5. Braum's 27 frames, 46 total, -2, but it's incredibly parryable. Jinx starts up on frame 25, the same as Darius's, but its total frame is 58. That's nearly a second. It takes her nearly a second for the animation to finish, and it's -14 on block. If you block it, you're plus 1,000,000,000. Most characters can raw super off that. Because Jinx had too much in her kit. We had to give her a weakness. Yeah, okay. She doesn't already have 17 trillion, for sure. Giving Jinx a cross-up button is the core of what I think she needs. Well, it's currently the majority of her weaknesses. This game is very mix-heavy. The best teams focus around insane high-low strike-throw mix. And the fact that her overhead is 9 usable on block strings. Without assists, mind you, I will actually say. Jinx does have multiple moves that look like she's hitting you with a big hammer. Her overhead is one of them. But once you learn to realize what the overhead is, you're going to block it almost every time. I also think speeding up 5S2 recovery would be pretty good, but that's not really the priority list for anybody. So, yeah. Final thoughts, hopes, other assorted information. 2XK is a beautiful game. I trust the devs know what they're doing, even if I might think otherwise when fighting a Yasuo, Echo, Ahri, or Braum when it comes to balance. And unfortunately, right now, I am going to be dropping Jinx in competitive and ranked play. I might play her casually, I might still lab her, but until she gets a noticeable change, I'm not sacrificing my mental health and enjoyment of a game that I deeply love to play a character I want. And I think that any game, any fighting game, I should say, where you can have fun on a character, but it becomes a point where you don't want to play them because of the strain they put on you, because of their state currently, it's a bad sign, and it's kind of sad. I encourage other people, even if you don't play Jinx, even if you don't actually think Jinx is that bad, to still talk about her, to talk to devs about her, to express opinions. Call for a rework, even if you even if you don't think Jinx is that bad, she needs a rework because she's not fitting in the game currently. And maybe it's rash to have the game literally officially come out 2 days ago and go, this character needs a rework, but it's a reality. It happens in games all the time. And it's sad, but the good news is you can't go up from rock bottom, and you can't go anywhere but up from rock bottom. And unfortunately, Jinx is already there. People love this character. I love this character. I'm sure multiple people watching this video love this character. And she deserves love from the developers just as much as she deserves love from me, from you, from Vi and Bander and Echo, if you're into that sort of thing. Or Caitlyn, if you're into that sort of thing. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Shameless plug. Follow my Twitch. Like and subscribe. Share this. Throw this around with your friends. Put it on next time you go to a local if your Jinx main friend starts talking about their character. Talk about it. Get people talking about it. But overall, if you want to play Jinx, more power to you. But, I will rejoin you when I start having fun with the character again, which is probably not going to be until she gets buffed. Happy ranked climbs. Good luck. Good vibes. If you play locals. If you just play casually, I might upload a little guide to Caitlyn or Vi if I feel like it. I'm going to start streaming bi-daily. I'll make a schedule and put it on my Twitch. Shameless plug. Like and sub. Goodbye.